What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Once again, another second episode of Who Would You Pay to See? And I'm very blessed to have my guy, Taryn, BBK Sports, on here with me. How's everything going, my guy?
Hey man, good man. Blessed to be here. We're finalists.
Yeah.
Down finalists. So
Yeah.
I'm good, man. Glad to be here, man. Honored to be on your platform, man. Glad to see you doing live shows. The YouTube streets been begging for this. So it's here.
I appreciate it. And just as I always say, man, thank you for your service to our country. Always got to big up the servicemen every single chance I get. Got family in the military and very proud to have family in the military. And it's always a pleasure to speak with veterans. So, yeah, man. So on that note, we're in a final, and it's what we've been asking for years from this manager since he hit that FA Cup. Just overall, how are you feeling about getting to the final? And does it make you, I wouldn't want to say the game yesterday gave us too much more hope than what we're already looking at right now for the overall season, but has it inched you any closer to any hope that this is leading towards possibly a Premier League trophy along with this cup?
Yeah, it's the wind is definitely trending that way. You know, it's where I see a lot of people have had to change their position on where they think the season was going to go based on us getting over the hump. Because the linear thing that's been fascinating to follow is they talk about the cup competitions and progressions from seasons past. Mm-hmm. So we went from, the quarterfinals of the Champions League to the semifinals of the Champions League. And going into this season, we got to this same point we stumbled last year. We got to this point. So this was the first opportunity to show that the team is buying into, okay, now is the time to get over the hump. Last year semifinal, we conceded 4 goals. This year semifinal, we scored 4 goals. So there's some improvement there. And I've always said, if the club was consistently getting to finals, the energy around the fan base would be different. It would be, because just by the law of averages, you would win a couple. You probably, unlikely that you win all of them, but you win some of them. Just by the law of averages. Prime example, the dusty Chelsea team we just knocked off yesterday. The energy around their fan base has been different because they've been consistently getting to finals. We saw them get to the finals in 23-24 when they lost the Liverpool kids in the EFL Cup, but consistently getting to finals. They got to the Conference League final, won that, got to the Club World Cup finals and won that. So the law of averages will support you winning a few if you consistently get to them. That's all I've been asking for. That's all you've been asking for. Give us something to get behind, and here we are. So the job is not done by any means, but we wanted to get to a final. We fancy our chances at Wembley, and we see how it goes on March 22nd.
Yeah, I agree. And I just want to say, I think the fact that it was Chelsea that we beat adds a little bit more pep in the step, because this has been one of the teams for us since this Premier League drought. This has been the team that, along with City, have been the 2 most successful teams in getting it. And Chelsea have won so many trophies off of us, whether cup finals or stopping us from winning trophies or them beating us to go on to win a trophy. I just think for a mentality thing, it's a massive thing that it was Chelsea that we beat. Now, obviously, as far as the game went, it wasn't that great of a game, but sometimes you get that in semifinals. I thought, first and foremost, Chelsea offered nothing. I don't know what this guy Rosignor thought he was doing. You play that type of way when you are going into the game to where you can draw, and then if you go down one to where the game's tied and then you have to go forward, that's the way I've seen teams play, not the opposite way. Didn't think the game was as great. I saw some stat that Gyökeres only had like 10 touches throughout the time that he was there. And it's absolutely abysmal that he's still not getting service when these little groups of games we've seen with more service goals come, but we just somehow refuse to do it. If City gets in the final and we play City, do you think that if we beat City that it's the last thing for the demoralizing step to show that we're going on to win the Premier League? And at the same time, do you think if we lose to City, do you think that that could potentially be the start of a banana peel to where the past 3 years come into play to where it could be a potential bottle job season?
Yeah, well, it's in the case of if it's going to be City, it's going to be City because they're 1-0 up right now at Newcastle. Yeah, right. So they're 3-0 up on aggregate. And you talk about Chelsea coming to the Emirates and setting up like that. Brother, you put three, you go to a back three when you need to score a goal. Like, what are you defending a 1-0 deficit? And I look at the lineup today that Eddie Howe, see Liam Rossignol does the same dumb shit and starts 3 people in the back and they just conceded. I don't know. These coaches are just they can't make rational decisions to make sense, But back to the question at hand, we play City in the final. If we lose it, if it could be a potential banana skin for us to slip up and be the catalyst to railroading our season. I don't think so. And here's why. If our core bunch of players lose this game, this final to Man City, they have one reaction, and the only reaction is, okay, now we have to win this Premier League. We must win it because this is the only thing that we're still in charge of the Premier League title race. We're not in charge of the Champions League, FA Cup. We don't know how those draws are, but this right here we are in charge of. That's the only reaction that they can make. Should we go on to win at Wembley, then definitely they have to use it in that sense as a springboard. Like, okay, because the run would have looked like Port Vale. Okay, we're supposed to beat them, but it would have looked like Brighton, Palace, Chelsea. See, and it's a pretty good team, bunch of teams to beat. Big up, AJ. Pretty good bunch of teams to beat to get to the final. And after that, because I think the last time Man City actually beat us was the 4-1, if I'm mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, the 4-1 when they blamed us. So they haven't beaten us in a while. So we beat them to a trophy. I can definitely see this being a springboard to light a fire up their ass to go get this Premier League. Because from this position that we're in, Gianni, I'm saying 2 trophies is the minimum from where we're postured.
Absolutely.
2 trophies in the final, leading the title race and all that stuff. 2 is a minimum from this point.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And my thing is that if by some situation where the League Cup is the only thing we walk away from, he's got to go. But I've been beating the drum, and you're in on some of the chats that we have behind the scenes. I've been beating the drum. 2 trophies is mandatory this season. I don't care if it's almost for me a sackable offense if the Premier League is the only thing he walks away with as the situation right now. And people may think it's harsh, but I keep beating this drum that we've spent $1 billion now, and we're trying to get into the likes of the Manchester Cities, the Chelseas, the AC Milans, and the Inters of old, of the big clubs that have put the money down to win trophies. And we're still the only team that has hit that dollar amount level, but are still talking about a what if, buts, and maybes. And for me, at this current point in time, 2 trophies is mandatory. Now, obviously, I'm not going to get hyped up on the Champions League. I still think the Champions League is something that we have to do similar to City and Chelsea, where we need to win some trophies a few years in a row to build that foundation of winning and mentality before we push on for the Champions League. However, I think that we should go on, and I don't even care if it's City, because at this point, with the way this City team has been this season, we need to put our foot down on them and show them that we're here, because I'm worried that if we were to go in and just throw a stinker and we lost like a 3-1 and got embarrassed in a final again, like if it was Baku, I think it would derail the season. And I still think even a close loss to City with in their current standpoint right now. I mean, Marmoush is starting because Haaland can't score. Hopefully that remains the way so that we could put the season away, but it is what it is. But that's my feeling. I agree with you. I think 2 trophies is mandatory at this point. It's been too long, one for a cup, but just on top of it, for the amount of money, I think 2 trophies is mandatory for Arteta. Just your last thoughts as far as with the situation with Arsenal. Obviously, he set the team up to make sure we didn't lose the game because he knew the onus was on Chelsea to come forward. I'm pretty sure I already know what you're going to say, but yes, we won the game, but I don't want to see that football that much longer for the season. I think the longer we go on in the season where we play like that, where we invite teams to put pressure on us and keep, basically seeing how far we can bend before we start giving up goals or start having stupid results. I really think that now that we're in the final, there should be some weight lifted off this team and they should be better going forward and trying to make the most of the opportunities and scoring more goals and not having these close games. What are your thoughts on that about how we're playing?
Yeah, the football isn't great, which adds another layer of pressure why you have to win. If we have to suffer through this, maybe there's a mental block on him to just shithouse or just stink out a Premier League title. And then once he has the confidence, has the backing of a Premier League champion and a Premier League champions, a team full of champions, maybe he will just try to play the football that we were playing the first year that we came up short. But yeah, it's the football, it's bad. It's to the point where now when we put a couple of good passes together in the final third, we get excited like, ooh, and then it goes back to the robotic football. And it doesn't matter who he plugs and play in this, because it looks like he started Eze but gave him Odegaard's instructions. Go out there and do the exact same thing that he did. I think that the two chances that I saw in the first half was Eze making a quick one-time pass to Nkapie that he had a shot from out, and then the Martinelli chance. Other than that, I'm glad I missed that first half. But yeah, the football is bad and it must improve. It's very difficult though because the Arteta Defense League have this that they can shade him. They can shield him with, hey, we're in the semifinal, we're top. But both things can be true. You can improve while being good. So the football should be better, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've made this, just lastly on this, I've made this joke all the time with guys who try to come up with excuses for it. And I've always said, I go, the only team I remember that spent $1 billion and played, defensive football like this and just shithouse their way to everything was Jose's Inter Milan side. But by then they already had Inter as a whole had about 9 trophies already walking into Jose. So it was what it was. There'd be more credit in the bank if trophies had already been coming along the way. If Arteta would have pulled off a League Cup, maybe 2 League Cups and an FA Cup, or maybe just a League Cup and an FA Cup along the way, there'd be a little bit more, leeway with him as far as understanding the situation with Arsenal as far as a project, because he's won along the way. But the fact that he hasn't, yeah, man, I 100% hear it. Definitely. So now we're going to get into the fun part.
Yes, sir.
I had a great time doing this with Aaron and trying to come up with a second team to try to come up with a different team every time has been challenging for me, but I've had to do it. But yeah, man. So this whole thing that I've done now is, shout out to Shane Gooner with the off topic, talking about all the greats and the legends and legendary stuff that's happened in the history of football. But now from off of that, I just want to know if Taryn had to pay money to see 11 players, whether it be what if players, greatest of all time, Arsenal legends, any legends from any other team, if you could put an 11 together, who would they be? And
it's all-time 11. You know who I'd pick for my goalie? You remember that crazy Colombian?
Yeah. The scorpion kick. The scorpion kick.
Yeah, Higuita.
Yeah.
Yeah. Higuita's I would pay money to see this guy over and over. You know what I mean? Because a goal kick would be exciting, or a tame shot. You're like, oh, what's he gonna do now? When R9 and Zidane are one of your favorite players, and you're like, man, I've seen players who are there's taking a risk, and then they're just absolutely taking a mick when some of the stuff that he used to do. I don't know what empowered that guy to make him believe he could do stuff like that, but I want that type of confidence in this Arsenal team. We had half of the confidence that guy had. Brother, we're defending this Premier League title with no issues, but I just used to love watching that guy. Like, what's he gonna do now? My guy, Higuita.
Okay, see, this is what I love about doing this, is bringing up names that people are either going to forget, or it's going to jog their memory a little bit, or maybe even interest people to go and look them up, because there's been so much great players.
Nah, I see the Chilavert. Yeah, he was a mad one too. Wahaha. Yeah, him. He would be my backup to Higuita. They're related. That's what related. And yeah, Binks. Yeah, Araya gives me a heart attack sometimes, but he won't. He won't dare try to do some of the stuff that Higuita used to do. Higuita used to invite pressure while he's on the goal line. Madman. But it entertained me. You know what I mean?
So the goalkeeper that I've gone with this team, I'm going to give a shout out because he lived in the shadow of Fabian Barthez, but was a fantastic goalkeeper. I'm going to go with Gregory Coupé, the mainstay goalkeeper, for the Olympic Lyon dynasty in the 2000s period, 7 in a row. Still hasn't been beat by PSG, which is a shock with the amount of money that they've put into their program. But just wanted to give a shout out to Coupé. I thought Fabian Barthez, obviously World Cup winner, great goalkeeper. I think he gets slacked a little bit too much, and I think he's a lot better than what people give. But Gregory Coupé, I think, was on the same level as him. It's just he didn't have that sweet 98 World Cup behind him to earn him that first stop. For your formation, what formation you want to see your 11 play in? And then we'll start with the fullbacks or wingbacks or however.
Yeah, it'll be a 4-3-3, but the mid it'll be the mid seals, just CMs, the guys that can do it all across the front line.
Okay. Yeah. So to start with that, we'll start with the back line. Who are you going with your left back?
My left back, it's a toss up between Roberto Carlos and Ashley Cole. I don't fall in the Arsenal camp of the guys who hate Ashley because he moved on to Chelsea, man. I just the way he played the position, was just like no other. And if it's between them two, as much as I love Roberto Carlos, man, I think Ashley was just the attacking going but then that damn left foot, that damn Roberto Carlos, Higuita playing the ball out to Roberto Carlos sounds a little more exciting than to Ashley Cole. So, honorable mention for Ashley. Another honorable mention for Lizarazu, one of my underrated left backs. And but I go with Roberto out of the left back with the giant calves.
The tree trunk calves. Yeah, me and Aaron were talking about it because he picked Roberto Carlos too for left back, and he came to the same thing. He goes, it's either going to be Ashley Cole or Roberto Carlos, and I'm in the same thing with you. I'm not mad that Ashley Cole left for Chelsea, especially now after hearing it more.
Exactly,
with him talking about it, I'm not that mad at him for. And like I said, I think Ashley Cole's peak came right after Roberto Carlos and Paolo Maldini is the two best left backs, and obviously Maldini going into center back. And I think just for probably a solid 7-8 years, Ashley Cole was the best left back on the planet, in my
100%. 100%.
I don't think you can go wrong with either one of those guys. For me, I have them inverted because I wanted to fit some other guys into this team. And I know you are a lover of the Meisterschaft with the Germans. So I wanted to put a little name, and I think he doesn't get enough respect either. I've gone with Philip Lahm is my.
Oh man, right.
I think Philip Lahm, he just doesn't get the respect he deserves, in my opinion. I think a lot of people often forget him because of the likes of other right backs and left backs that are way more attacking, like a Dani Alves or like a Jordi Alba. Specifically looking at Barcelona's guys, but I just remember him being nothing but consistent. He's in a class that's the best of fullbacks ever in my personal opinion. I don't think he gets enough respect. But yeah, I wanted to go with Philip Lahm. I just think he's just a different level of class than most fullbacks. What are your thoughts on Lahm?
The machine. We used to call him the machine, man. The guy was so fundamentally sound. I used to watch games and I'm watching him. I'm like, he's not gonna make a mistake, is he? Like he's just so calm. And yeah, those other guys never had the flair of Dani Alves and all these other fullbacks. But it's that's typically haven't been the German way for fullbacks to have all that
Mhm.
tech. The basic fundamentals. Being able to track your runner, being able to overlap and whip a ball in. Yeah, Philip Lahm, he embodied all that shit right there, man. What
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
baller.
All right, so we got your left back down. Who would you select for your right back?
For my right back, I'm a big fan of Danny. Danny was
He was a
big,
bad man. He was a
yeah,
bad man.
massive fan of him. There are some others that get on, that get the shouts, but Danny, for me, the way he was able to defend, step into the midfield, and give you an overload and get back to his position and all that, and he played the game at such a high level for so long. You know what I mean? It's very hard. I don't know when they list the list of right backs traditionally where he racks up amongst the footballing pundits like the talk sport guys and that. But yeah, for me, man, I'm going with Danny. I just think you get everything in a fullback, and like if you play a system where someone even gets sent off, you don't really have to make radical changes. You can just move him to another position. Danny step into the midfield, and he can do a job there, man. So yeah,
Yeah. He was nothing but class. He was nothing but class. And as somebody who's a big fan of the CDI, Danny Alves was a different level because before he got destroyed by Gareth Bale, Maicon was a bad man at the right back position too, and he just still wasn't anywhere as good as Danny Alves. Both of them were top players at their position at the time. But yeah, man, Danny Alves easily one of the best. For me, I've gone with the City A legend and eventually went to Barcelona for a couple of years, but I went with Lilian Thuram.
Okay.
Lilian Thuram, for me, I think overall as a defender gets overlooked way too much. I think Lilian Thuram, a lot of people give him credit because he was a part of that World Cup team, but the man was phenomenal for Parma and Juventus. For me, and he also gets a little bit of shade thrown at him because he just so happened to be Fabio Cannavaro's partner. But Lilian Thuram was on the same level as Fabio Cannavaro, in my opinion. And I think Cannavaro was at his prime one of the best, if not the best, center backs in the world. And I think Thuram was right there. But his early days with Parma and Juventus, he was a right back, and a lot of people forget how good he was going forward. So I'm going to go with Lilian Thuram on this one.
Yeah, man. The thing with Thuram is because earlier when we were talking about the left back, I already gave a shout out to Lizarazu, so I didn't want to make it look like a French overload because that 98 squad, was from 1 to 16 was stacked. But yeah, I didn't want to do the French bias thing, but yeah, man. But big up to Thuram, man. And then he passed on the legacy and gave 2 other professional footballers. So yeah, big him up.
His, you know what Marcus, I think needs to go on his own to a different team. I think Inter's style with this 3-5-2 isn't the best for him, in my personal opinion. I thought he was much better coming off the left-hand side at Gladbach. But I don't know. I think maybe he needs to leave Inter. I think Inter needs to let the 2 strikers go. I think they need to let those young kids come up and develop. Kefren is playing like a madman right now at Juventus. He's really taking a big step. So I'm digging what I'm seeing from Kefren Thuram, man.
Gary definitely gets a shout out, and then then there's Cafu in it, so there's I was torn between Danny and Cafu. That's why I didn't want to jump over him and go straight to Gary, but yeah,
that's who Aaron chose. So Aaron had Roberto Carlos and Cafu as his 2 fullbacks for his team. So yeah. Yeah, Gary Neville's good. I think Gary Neville gets overhyped, in my opinion. I think he's a solid right back. I think there was a lot of other world-class players with United. He did his job, but I think there's other right backs other than him. So to go to this, I'm really interested to hear this. Who are your 2 center backs for the center back pairing for your 11?
Yeah. So because I got a lunatic in goal, right, and I got a flair player out left, I got Danny Danny has some craziness in him every now and then. I need 2 sensible center backs. Yeah, I knew 2 sensible ones. So I'm going to go with Tony, and I'm going to go with Paulo. Yeah.
Okay.
Because with them 2, sensibly, Higuita can do all the craziness he wants. But them 2, I've said on the off-topic show, I think the best defensive player award should be called the Paolo Maldini Award. I think they should really, FIFA need to unfuck themselves and just make that a thing, right? We have the Puskas Awards and all this. The Paolo Maldini Award, the Gabriel should be winning that this year, or the best center back in the world. So him, and I'll put him next to our legend, Tony.
Yeah, that's a badass. You ain't scoring on them two. Yeah. You ain't scoring on them two, man.
This is a rich position, man. There are so many names you could pick from here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I agree. I think, first of all, I agree with you. I think Paolo Maldini, hands down, is the greatest defender of all time. He's arguably top 5 greatest center backs, even that's not his original position. And left back, I think it's not even. I think the only person that does give him a run is Roberto Carlos. But again, 2 different ways of playing. Tony Adams, I mean, what else is there to say? I think Tony Adams, for me, if you were to ask me who would be a pairing for an all-time Premier League 11, Tony Adams is definitely one of them. I don't know if I'm choosing 2 center backs over Tony Adams for that. I hold him in the highest regard. I think he's in same conversations with Maldini's, Baresi's, Nesta's, Scirea's, all the great Italian defenders. I think he's right up there in that conversation. And, of course, he's Mr. Arsenal. For me, the first guy I chose, I'm going to put him on the right-hand side so we have our little French connection there. I'm going to choose Marcel Desailly.
Hey.
Marcel Desailly, another guy who I think not enough people know about and don't put him in that same conversation for center backs. It's one thing to go from the Sacchi AC Milan and then Fabio Capello to come along, change it around, make it more defensive, and then you make a back line of Baresi, Desailly, Maldini, and Costa Curta is almost insanity. And that's the reason why they only gave up 15 goals when the Serie A was the best league in the world. And Desailly was a massive part of that. So I really want to give some love to Marcel Desailly. And I'm going to go down another German route. I don't know if a lot of people know this guy, but Matthias Sammer from Borussia Dortmund was an absolute underrated center back. He may not get in the conversations of the top 10, maybe even top 15, but he's a fantastic center back that I don't think enough people know about. Big part of that early to mid 90s Borussia Dortmund team that also went on to win the Champions League. And
97. Was it 97? Was it 97 they won the Champions League? I think he was around 97. Yeah.
No, it's 97.
97.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Matthias Sammer and Marcel Desailly. I just, it's hard trying to come up with a different 11 for every. You go down the memory bank to start looking for all these guys. But yeah, man, I'm a big fan of Matthias Sammer. I've always appreciated Borussia Dortmund too. It's a stadium I need to get to before I pass. I really want
to. You have to. It's so loud in there. It's the number 1 stadium. It's my top of my list of all the ones that I went to in Germany. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Signal Iduna Park. It's 81,000, and I had the privilege of being in a certain part of that damn stadium, and it was the way it's built. They sing like the standing zone section traps the noise. The way it's built, it's
and is like the wall? Is it very steep? Because it looks super steep from
steep. Very, very. Okay. You got to hold on, and every time they score, it's just beer everywhere. They just be. I thought you were gonna give Cannavaro a shout. I don't know if you would have been your first 11 or the other one.
No, you know what? I'm trying to spread it around for all the different players, for all the different ones.
I'm gonna do that with my midfield.
I think you'll appreciate this diverse midfield that I'm going to throw, because my team's going to be a 4-4-2 with 2 strikers and a diamond midfield. So but Matthias Sammer, Marcel Desailly, 2 guys that I really appreciate and really think. Desailly obviously, but Matthias Sammer as well. So to go into it, I know you said you were playing 4-3-3. Who are you having as your number 6?
My number 6, you know what, and I love Patrick, and if I'm doing an all-time 11, I'm going to beat Patrick as my DM. But I think that damn man, as much we just dumped our Chelsea out the cup, but that damn Claude Makélélé, man, he was.
Whoo, that's a shout.
Yeah, when he was always the player that I kind of appreciated because I kind of played like a similar position, but that guy, I said Patrick Dorey. Yeah, man, I really think Claude was one of those players that defensively he would cover so much ground. Sometimes I think he would would give the ball away on purpose just to win it back, so he just covered so much ground, man. He was a leader. He was strong on the ball, could defend like a 6, could crash the box like an 8. He could, he could ping a ball left side, right side, diagonal switch. I really rated him, and it was a shame watching him play for them lot for so long. But yeah, I really rated him as a DM, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
bad player.
Yeah, he was. He was. He often goes. The older Chelsea fans know how good he was. The younger guys, I don't think, know as well as Claude Makelele was. If they had somebody else as a 6 that wasn't on the same defensive level, that Chelsea defense is not as renowned as it was. We can hype up John Terry. John Terry is one of the best center backs in Premier League history, but a lot of him looking good was because of the hard work and the dirty work that Claude Makelele had put in the midfield. He was a stud. For me, I went with the madman. Loved him in Italy. He was great in Spain. He's a nutcase as a coach right now. I went with Diego Simeone.
Hey,
I think a lot of people
like playing with 10 men.
Yeah.
Because he's going off every 5 games. He's getting ready.
You're not lying. You're not lying. But I love that flair and that hot temperedness in a holding 6 sometimes. Similar, you know what it is with Simeone? Simeone had the exact same fire and aggressiveness that Gattuso had, but he was 10 times the player on the ball than Gattuso was. Gattuso, I think a lot of people hype him up because he was a part of that World Cup squad and he was a part of that unbelievable AC Milan team for a long time. But for me, Diego Simeone, what he did at Atletico, what he did at Lazio even, and what he did at Inter Milan, I just don't think he gets enough love as a player, obviously because his antics as a manager, a lot of people look at as craziness, but he was the same as a player. But yeah, I'm going to go with Diego Simeone. Just wanted to give him a shout out because I'm a big appreciator of him. And he was a part of that Inter team. When Napoli wasn't in Serie A, Inter was my team because I'm never rooting for AC Milan and Juve. So that Inter team, he was awesome to watch.
Yeah, I hear it.
Who are you going with your left-sided center mid?
Yeah, so with the mids, because I have Claude sitting and I have 2 of the best center backs to ever kick a ball, my CMs and these 2 players, when I referred to them when I was growing up watching them, you refer to CMs as central midfielders, but these 2 guys that I'm putting to the left and right of Claude, I don't call them central midfielders for the CM. I call them classic midfielders because these 2 guys were different. And one is, Zizou, Zinedine Zidane, right? I'm putting him in there as my classic midfielder. And this one, speaking of guys who go under the radar, who don't get their flowers, was a guy that used to play for Villarreal from Argentina, a guy named Juan Riquelme. Remember this? Remember this guy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I used to watch La Liga just to watch this guy play, man.
Yeah, man.
When he played for Argentina, every time he would get on the ball, he would make some magic happen. He was so underrated, that guy. Wow, you taking the piss now. But yeah, man, my midfield that I would pay to watch these guys play a game of football would be Claude Sitton and Zidane and Juan Riquelme playing off of them. Some wicked ball movement be going on there.
With the 2 fullbacks, good luck getting the ball back. Good luck getting the ball back. Jeez. Yeah. You know what's funny is Aaron chose Riquelme because we'll do 3 guys for the bench. And he chose Riquelme, and he said pretty much the same thing. And I echo every bit of it. Riquelme, that semifinal team that we beat, but not just that. I mean, even when he was old, he was dogging guys out still in Argentina with Boca Juniors, was absolutely ridiculous. And he, man, one of the best free kick takers I've ever seen. And just the ball looked like it was Velcro with him. I mean, obviously Zizou, for me, I think Zinedine Zidane is top 5 best players I've ever seen play the game.
That guy, man.
As much as I hate him because he's a Juventus legend. But you got to give credit where credit's due. The man was just an absolute magician. you know, the Zidane. The only thing I can say is thank you for headbutting Materazzi and helping Italy win the 06 World Cup. But beyond that, I can't stand him because he's a Juventus great. But just I don't know if we're ever going to see a midfielder at that level of a class ever again. Definitely not Zidane's level, because Zidane, for me, as I said, for me, top 5 of all time in my book. He was
classic midfielder. Classic midfielder is what I call him. It's classic, man.
Yeah. So my 2 midfielders that I went with 2 left field guys. The first one is I'm going with Simeone's partner in crime at Lazio, because the few years that they were together at Lazio, they were both unbelievable. And I think he gets a bad rap because it didn't work out well at Manchester United the way that they played. But I'm going to go with Veron. I thought Veron was a complete midfielder as well. Could get nasty when he needed to, was fantastic on the ball, great dribbler of the ball, could find a pass, and a great shooter as well. And I just think that Veron catches way too much flack from his time at Man U, which understandable because he didn't fit into the system. But in Italy, he was just unbelievable and nothing but class. And his guy on the other side, for me, I think he should be getting into a lot more conversations as far as one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. And he was a monster at Barcelona. But I went with Yaya Toure. I think Yaya Toure was one of my favorite midfielders to watch at the time. I don't know what ended up happening with Pep. We know what the story is sometimes, but Yaya Toure, for me, Manchester City and Barcelona, there wasn't that many midfield. You had to be Iniesta and Xavi level to be better than him. And he wasn't that far off, because on his A game, he was everything and more than what a lot of people thought. And I think, again, same thing. I don't think he gets enough credit. Yaya Toure is one of my favorite center midfielders ever to watch.
At his prime, he was damn near unplayable in the middle of the park. He was pace and power, skill. He had it all there, man. And that damn Varane, and what I like most about him, he was never scared. You know how we talk about Odegaard scared to take a shot? He never see a shot that he didn't like. Whether it's 30 yards, 45, hey, I'm gonna have a go. National team, same thing. I see. Yeah, I like this one. I'm gonna have a go. Yeah, man. Yeah. These are the footballers we would pay money to see today.
Yeah. Oh, Veron. If Veron and Yaya Toure were back at both in their prime at about 28, 29 years old, they'd be 2 of the best midfielders in the world, if not the 2 best midfielders in the world, outside of maybe Pedri. But these 2 guys, I mean, these guys nowadays, these guys would be $100 million players.
Brother.
I mean, everything that you just said, I completely echo. So this is going to get interesting now. Who, man, I'm scared to see who you're going to pick for your wingers, because you've already got killers everywhere on this team.
Yeah, I can appreciate a list like this, because the freedom and for you to just highlight players that you appreciate with playing the game. It's nowhere near like the guys who are the best to ever play the positions. But for the wingers, man, there's guys who play in the modern game that they say couldn't play in yesteryear. Then they got guys in yesteryear, so they couldn't play today. But you got the guys who are so technically sound, man, back in the day. That says John Quinn, Oh,
funny thing is that's who Aaron chose for his team was
what he did?
Yeah. He was a bad boy player for a while with Real Betis and Valencia. He was a good winger for a while.
Shit, man. I just looked up and saw that they're 3-0 down. Oh, God.
Jeez.
But there was he wasn't an out and out winger, very technical. That I used to like watch. He calls Wenger his dad. He gives Wenger all the praise whenever he goes around and collects awards. He played for PSG now. He's in politics. But I used to like watching George Weah dribble with the football. I really used to. And I'm like, he had such a tight, close-knit dribble. And I'm like, I think this guy can get by his man and every time he wants to. You know, I really used to enjoy watching him play, and his name, like in certain circles, especially like if you go, over there, he's highly regarded. But yeah, man, he was one of the guys that you listen to him talk about Wenger, you'd be like, how did this guy not end up at Arsenal? You know what I
mean? And
he's
a legend. He's a legend in Italy.
Yeah,
he's a legend in Italy. He was.
Yeah, so yeah, man, just big him up. I think he was one of them unsung heroes, of the time when technical ability and dribbling was mostly associated with, like, the George Bests of the world and the Motherman. But I think he was a really good player, man, that don't get a lot of shine. But yeah, I'd have George Weah on one of my wings, either one.
Oh yeah. Oh, I 100% agree with you there. George Weah, I think part of the reason why some people try to downplay him, he was there for 2 Scudettes with AC Milan, and he's a legend if you go to Italy. You ask about George Weah in Italy. There was a lot of pressure on Timothy to go there to play for Juventus, which I think is a good reason why he went to France, because there's a lot of unnecessary pressure on him because of his father. George Weah, exactly what you said. Very, very silky smooth on the ball, dribbling. Doesn't get put in a lot of the conversations where he rightfully deserves to be there. I believe it's the 98-99 Scudetto, the second one that he was with for AC Milan. He was a major, if not the biggest part outside of Maldini in the defense. He was probably the biggest reason going forward why. He used to dribble them out of problems. And it was towards the tail end where it was about to be the quick rebuild, where Milan weren't winning trophies. And a big part of it was because Weah left. And man, 100% agree with you. He doesn't get the
and on the other wing, I'd pay money to see Garnacho.
Oh,
other wing.
Ooh.
Weah on the other one, and there's Garnacho on the other one. And then it's just flair all day. The ball is moving quickly when it needs to move quickly, even when the game is slowed down. It looks fast because you can't get nowhere near the ball. That type of, it's like a rondo. If that man catch you in a triangle, it's bang, 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 bang.
You're trying to do FIFA scores to people with this team. You're trying to beat team 6-7-0 with this team.
Yeah, the football would be pure.
Oh, 100%. But fuck, Garrincha and Riquelme, either way, whether it's Riquelme and Weah on the same side and Zidane and Garrincha on the same side, Jesus Christ, you're not getting the ball off you guys.
Yeah, man.
This is insanity. This is absolute insanity. Okay, that's going to definitely outshine my team because I went with a bunch of low-key guys. This guy's not too low-key. My top of the diamond, my number 10, I'm going to go with Liam Brady.
Shit.
Yeah, I wanted to throw some Arsenal love out there, and I think Liam Brady, it's hard with me because once again, I'm an Arsenal fan, but it's hard to pick which years were better between Arsenal or Juventus, because with Juventus, he was unplayable, absolutely unplayable. And Juventus at the time had to go out and buy the best player in the world before Maradona in, I can't believe it, Platini. And Platini was the one who replaced Brady. So that tells you how good Brady was, that they had to go out and choose Platini to be able to get rid of Brady for the one, at that time, the one international rule. But Brady, for me, silky smooth player, doesn't get the respect he deserves, in my opinion, as far as the great number 10s. One of my favorite Arsenal players, especially just going back and watching old highlights and some old games with him in. I think Liam Brady doesn't get enough respect. I know in Italy, Brady gets a ton of respect, especially from the old timers, because a lot of guys would tell you those 2 Scudetti he won with Juventus, they wouldn't have won if it was somebody else other than him or Michel Platini. So, yeah, I would just want to throw Liam Brady out there. I'm scared now. Your striker is probably going to be getting about 4 goals a game with the balls he's going to be getting from all these guys. and he may even be getting a couple assists for some hold-up play and everything else just to keep the fluidity of this team going. Who's your striker for this team? Who are you rounding this offense out with?
Yeah, so it's There were two guys that came to mind when I'm running through this, and it's not R9, who I think is that guy. He's at a table over there by himself. But I was really torn between remember the 1994 version. If anyone don't go Google 1994 World Cup and just look at Romario's play. Yeah, like Romario, so I was torn between him and Marco van Basten, because Marco van Basten is described as the technically perfect striker. You know what I mean? If you look at clips from Euro 1998, and you'd be like, man, this was he born with that? Or when did he discover he had such talent, such tech? You know what I mean? So, but the squad is littered with Brazilian madmen, so I'll just edge it and mix it up a bit and go with the Dutchman and make Marco the most technically sound, one of the most technically sound strikers you'll ever see touching football. You know
what I mean? well, then Terran's beating my team about 7-0. So this is unbelievable. To second that, I mean, for me, he's the greatest striker of all time. I maybe I'm biased because being Italian and everything else, but that Arrigo Sacchi AC Milan team that in 3 straight years won a Scudetto and 2 straight, Champions League, no now, but European Cups. Van Basten is the best striker of all time, in my opinion. I think the saddest thing is the 2 greatest strikers of all time, in my opinion, cut their careers short.
Mm-hmm.
Ronaldo Fenomeno to his own, to his own demise. Marco van Basten with the injuries and not being able to have, what we have today in the medical field and stuff, to retire at 28, but to have 3 Ballon d'Ors already by the time you're 28 and do everything that he did. 100% agree. And yeah, man, I don't, man, that is one hell of a starting 11. That is one hell of a starting 11. So my 2 strikers, I'm going to go back once again down the Bundesliga route. And I'm going to go with the guy that I think a lot of people, they probably remember or just barely remember, but I think was just absolutely fantastic. And he did it with multiple clubs in Germany. I'm going to go with Claudio Pizarro.
Okay.
I thought Pizarro at his time at Werder Bremen was absolutely unbelievable. He's the all-time goal scorer for Werder Bremen. He's one of the all-time goal scorers in the Bundesliga. I know he's top 10. I think he's around the 6th or 7th mark. And at the time, for him to be scoring goals at the rate that at the same time in Germany was Miroslav Klose, Lucas Podolski at times with Cologne and Munich, and Luca Toni when he made the jump. I just think Claudio Pizarro doesn't get enough respect as far as one of the best strikers around at his time. For me, I think he was at the same level as what some people would have put Marko Mandzukic at his peak, but I think he was a little bit better than Marko Mandzukic, even though I was a huge fan of him. The second striker, this guy was one of my favorite players growing up and still one of my favorite players to watch, even when I want to go down a wormhole and watch some highlights of a player, and that's Alvaro Recoba. Recoba at Inter, I mean, like I've said numerous times, if it's not Napoli, I root for Inter because I don't want to see Milan or Juventus win. Recoba, for me, one of the biggest what-if stories in football history, as far as if the injuries didn't tear his legs apart, what he would have been if he got more time on the ball. For me, one of the best magicians I watched, one of the best left foots. If he takes a shot from 27 yards in or closer with that left foot, it's probably bins every single time. And he had no problem making you look ridiculous. And one of the best attacking front threes I've ever seen was him, Christian Vieri, and Ronaldo Fenomeno at Inter.
I hear it.
And yeah, man, I just thought that Alvaro Recoba just doesn't get enough credit. So we're done with the 11s. Now I'm interested to see who you're going to have for your bench. So with this, I always go with three guys. You can choose whatever positions you want for the bench, but just 3 extra guys to throw in to throw a little substitute on with this already incredible 11 you've put together.
Yeah. So the extra striker that I would throw on in case Marco is off his meds, I would choose Remember Gabriel Batistuta, long hair, don't care.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'd have him as my striker floating. And as a midfield, I would probably, honorary shout out. He doesn't get a lot of love, especially now in this new generation of culture. But I'm gonna put Mark Overmars on my bench. You know what I mean? I'm gonna put Mark.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna put Mark on the bench as well. And one extra defender. I'm gonna put Nigel Winterburn on the bench as well.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Fantastic Four. The two of them.
Yeah,
got Tony Stark, and then I got Nigel as my deputy.
Okay. Man, that is a fucking team. Shit, you take Van Basten out, you're already winning about 5-6-0. You put Batistuta on with fresh legs, you're about winning 10-0 with this.
It was very clinical, man, prolific, but his name has slipped down the pecking order of Argentine greats over the past, with the Agueros and all these men that came out of there. But in the early to mid 90s, man, that guy was a force.
I'll be completely controversial. Aguero's nowhere near better than Batistuta. Not my.
You get no arguments for me, man, because the game was a hell of a lot more physical back then. The pitches were shit. Imagine them, man, with that level of skill on these carpets.
You give Gabriel Batistuta that Manchester City team with all the ballers from there all the way up until the Pep years. I don't know if there's any other team that wins the league. There might not even be any blips in that winning, to be quite honest with you, because he yeah.
In the '98 World Cup, bro. As soon as I saw Jamaica draw with Argentina, I was like 5-0. They're gonna beat us 5-0, and they beat us 5-0, bro. There was a passage of play in that game where the ball wasn't even in the net yet. Him and Ortega were playing through us so fluidly. They said, brilliantly done, Argentina, before the ball even crossed the line. That's how they were cutting us open. And I'd argue, this might be a topic for Shane to do on off topic one day, but the greatest World Cup games ever. That Argentina and the Netherlands game in 1994 was one of the best games of football I've ever seen in a tournament, man. It was, matter of fact, I think Overmars and what's the name linked up in that game as well.
Was it Overmars and Bergkamp?
I think it was, isn't it? It was a chop back. The switch and the shot back, yeah. But that was a wicked game of football, man. So yeah,
it was okay. Waffle on saying it was Bergkamp. Yeah. Overmars, I think, is a guy that doesn't get the respect he deserves. As a winger, I think a lot of people forget how good Mark Overmars really was, and that freaking Dutch team at that time as well was just stacked. Absolutely, it's still a shock that they didn't win anything.
Such a shame, man. Talk about golden generations. I think they have like 3 generations worth of golden, wasted talent. You talk about Belgium wasted Kevin De Bruyne and all these men. But at least the Dutchmen were getting to the finals still.
Yeah.
The
Belgium hit Tottenham Hotspur's backline. You knew they weren't winning anything with that golden generation. Plus, I've always said this. I think had Toby Alderweireld stayed at Atletico Madrid and maybe learned more under Simeone and played with that, he would have been a little bit better. I thought Alderweireld was very overrated when I thought he left too prematurely. I thought he could have learned more under Miranda and Godin at that time. I just don't think Alderweireld was all that. I never saw what everybody else said about him. That's why it was like when everybody made such a hype about what Poch was doing at Spurs, I was like, why are we shocked that they're not winning? I go, they're backline shit. Yeah. So never thought about it. For the bench, man, how do I follow this up? This is tough, man. You made this tough with this team.
Interesting.
Fuck, I want to pay to see your team play. Shit. Well, I'm gonna go one more with Arsenal, and I'll have him be the backup. He's a cult hero. He was one of my favorite players to watch when I was really getting into Arsenal. Was Hleb.
Oh, hey, Alexander.
Yeah, I'm gonna put Hleb in this team for the bench. I he was so silky smooth on the ball
Yeah.
with Arsenal. Absolutely
Yeah.
loved him. Obviously, it didn't work out at
Love
Barcelona.
that shout. Love that shout. Not gonna lie. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Kleb, man. He was one of my. I'd have to dig it out because I know I have a jersey of his somewhere because he was my guy when he was at Arsenal. I'm gonna go with another midfielder, and I think this guy he may come up if I do like a wasted talent because on his A game he was awesome. He had a bad injury situation when he left to go to Schalke, but I was always a fan of him, and I wish he would have came to Napoli and never left Italy. Was Kevin Prince Boateng?
Okay.
Kevin Prince Boateng, I thought box to box, being the youngster in that midfield with AC Milan, especially the latter half of that Milan team before they went down. I thought Kevin Prince Boateng was absolutely fantastic. As far as being a FIFA nerd, that old Schalke team. Had he kept up on his regimen and didn't let his knee injuries get worse when he was with that Schalke team was badass. With him, Farfan, Huntelaar, Baby Draxler, and then
Drax.
I forget who was the Brazilian stud. He was a left-footed left winger. He was with Lyon, and he went to Schalke. And it was when Schalke had Jermaine Jones. This is when Jermaine Jones was fighting to get into the national team because the old American coaches wanted to do it the American MLS way and wouldn't let any of the American players.
Was it Albert? Was it what was his name?
Bastos. Michel Bastos.
Okay.
That Schalke team was one of my favorite teams to play with in FIFA. I used to whip people with that team because that team was so much fun to play with. But
yeah,
I'm gonna go with Kevin Prince Boateng, and then
I hear it.
Do I want a backup striker or do I want a backup defender? Clevin Boateng can get goals if I need it off with that bench. They'll score. You know what? I'm going to go with the backup defender, and I'm going to go with a nutcase. I'm going to go with he's a shithouser. Shithouser, start shit. Yes, he gets some guys hurt. He's an asshole, but he's a winner at the end of the day. And
Sergio.
Marco Materazzi.
Okay, sound like you were describing Sergio Ramos.
No.
I'm like, he's still playing.
No.
The original shithouse. The original
shithouser. You know, he catches a lot of flack because he was a freaking nutcase when it came to that, and he's part of our long history of hot-headed Italians, especially hot-headed Italian players that get him in trouble. But you take the nonsense out of it and the shit talking and everything else that because he loved to stir up shit on the field. But Materazzi, when you take it back to basics, he's still a very, very good center back. And the craziness overshadows it. But I think Materazzi is an underrated center back. So want to give him some love.
So let me ask you this though: who's if you had to pick a coach to manage that crazy bunch, who's your coach?
Oh,
because that's a lot of ego. You know, someone has to pick the lineup. Everyone gonna pick themselves.
You know what? Because it's a 4-4-2 diamond midfield, and he used this position a lot. I think there's only one guy I can choose, and because he would keep everybody calm, it'd be Ancelotti.
Okay, Don Carlo.
Yeah, I think Ancelotti's just the guy that it looks like nothing can phase him. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's as cool. Yeah. He's as cool as can be. He's the calmest one in the room. You know, the famous video of him, like everybody jumping up when it was cold out and they scored like a game-winning goal. He's just there sipping coffee, like it's nothing phases him. And I think with the amount of egos and even nutcases on this team, I mean, you talk about some shithousery going on. Simeone, Verona, and Materazzi off the bench. You could start a fight every single game with this team. I think Ancelotti would be the guy to manage. I'm interested to ask you, who would you coach for that? Because I only think there's a few guys that could coach all that brilliance to pull it together.
You know who I would go with? Because he was, as a player, he was well respected, and as a coach, he was well respected and won stuff. and I think he could actually motivate this bunch or tell them what to do, and they would listen. I would actually go with Mario Zagallo. I would actually go with Zagallo, because Zagallo was the last Brazilian coach that actually allowed the Brazilians to do the Samba boy. You see that damn Dunga? He needs to be arrested for his crimes against Brazilian football when he left Ronaldinho at that damn World Cup squad, Because but yeah, I would Zagallo, the type of football Brazil was playing between 90 and 98, he had a lot to do with it. So, I'd give it to him. And plus, he, as a player, he won the World Cup as a player, as a coach.
Yeah,
there's a lot of respect there to go around. So I think he could command some respect from that bunch.
Oh, absolutely. That's a shout, Mario Zagallo. I agree with you. I think Dunga going with that defensive route with Brazil was absolutely nonsensical.
Yeah, they lost their identity. Yeah, they went away from what they were known for and didn't win. We led the show with. We went away from our Arsenal identity. There's a price for that. The price we're willing to pay for that is a Premier League, Champions League, not a Carabao. So you go away from identity, you have to leave with the goods.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's insane when you look at the team that they have. There was no sense of even going that route because you still had Ronaldinho. You had Robinho firing at that time. I think that might have been right at the move or right before he left, right before he went to AC Milan.
Mm-hmm.
You still had Kaká. You still had my boy Juninho at Lyon. There was no reason for them to even go down that route at all with the defensive play. And they haven't. You know what? You're right, man. They haven't recovered since. They tried recovering it, and it still hasn't gotten anywhere. This is an interesting segment to go towards for that. Do you think Carlo Ancelotti, with the crop of players that he could choose from at Brazil's best, do you think this team has an opportunity to maybe reverse the ways and maybe play some more attacking football, maybe win a World Cup with Brazil? Or do you think this is just going to be another daunting Brazil eliminated early because they're still caught in between more pragmatism or going back to the true Brazilian football?
I think the damage that he did to going away from their identity, I don't know how far that trickled down to the grassroots level, but it's been a while that we see Brazilian wingers not do Brazilian winger things. Where we have a Brazilian winger at Pep at Man City that Pep can't get a tune out of. Like Brazilian wingers who were never assured this. It might take them another World Cup or a half a generation to recover from that. Like when you fundamentally go away from who you are, in grassroots football, if that trickled down to the point where you see everyone, you talk about Martinelli, everyone says he's not Brazilian, may have a Brazilian passport, but he is getting a call. You go back to any other decade, would Martinelli get a call up for Brazil? He wouldn't even get a tryout.
No.
So I think that damage was way more than they think. And they even tried to bring the World Cup to Brazil and have it in Brazil. It was 2014 to try to jumpstart that. And here we are 12 years later, and we can't put hand on heart, say Brazil are going to be favorite. Now, who is the flair player in the squad now? Vinicius Jr. He kicks the ball and chases. He's a kick and run merchant. He doesn't have a tight dribble. Neymar has underperformed as a superstar. He never hit his potential.
Listen, I'll get controversial with him. I think Neymar is one of the most overrated players in the history of the game.
I think he had a high ceiling, but I think he made a series of mistakes. One of them was, hey, I don't want to be nowhere near Messi. Let me run. Brother, you went to PSG. It might have did your career more harm than good. And then you ended up playing with Messi at PSG anyway when you were trying to get away from him. But I think Brazilian football has been fundamentally they've gone away from what they were known for doing, and I think that on a footballing association of a country can have devastating effects. That's why I said that Dunga, he should be that's crimes against football what he did, because that was he robbed us of a last World Cup with Ronaldinho of some personal gripe, bro. We needed to see this guy in the World Cup. He had it. Still had a lot of ball left in him. So I guess that's why I'm not a big fan of him, because we had Ronaldinho left out of a World Cup squad, and we know it wasn't based on merit or skill. He still had a lot of ball left.
he carried AC Milan to win that final Scudetto before we saw the fall of AC Milan.
Yeah.
I mean, just the plethora of talent from Brazil that was just on that AC Milan team was ridiculous. I mean, how you have, first of all, I think Alexander Pato might have been the last great striker for Brazil that I've seen. And Pato, again, was 7 years. Had Pato taken his career more seriously and stayed top level, Pato's in a different conversation. For me, Pato, he was brilliant for 7 years, but he's still that what if, because he didn't carry it out to the fullest, even though he won damn near everything under the sun with that Milan side. But Ronaldinho was hooping. There was nothing he could do. That Inter Milan that Jose Mourinho had was just monsters. There's nothing that you could do to get past it. And I agree with you. I didn't understand why he was left off the team. You know, that 2010 World Cup is interesting because Brazil leaves off Ronaldinho. I don't know if Maradona did this as a dig to Messi, but he left Zanetti and Cambiasso off the team, who had just won the treble with Inter Milan and were two integral parts of it. And you would think that you would bring, because they had absolutely nobody in that midfield. It was basically pop the ball forward, bypass the midfield, let the front four play, and we'll see what we'll get out of it. And I mean, there was obviously they shouldn't have been there because of the Lampard goal, but Germany steamrolled Argentina. Absolutely steamrolled Argentina. And it was because there was no midfield for Argentina.
And that German midfield was strong. And that was the beginning of a German midfield ascending, because that German midfield ended up passing the ball 7 times in that Brazil net in the next World Cup. It started there. You know what I mean? But bro, it's been grossly mismanaged what they have done to Brazilian football. And I think it started with that move that they decided to go away from who they are, man. And they haven't recovered from it yet. Because how far do you think they go in this tournament?
I think it all depends where they go. I think Brazil potentially, if they can dodge, I think Brazil potentially can make it to a semifinal, in my opinion. But I think it's all depends on who they dodge. If they catch France or Spain early, I don't think they're beating either of them, in my personal opinion. However, France, I will say this: I don't know what the situation is with the players with Didier Deschamps. I don't know if it's just it's been past the time for Deschamps to leave, and maybe this World Cup will re-show that. But I still think on paper, France and Spain are the two best teams. England, I think I don't know if I rate England as high as a lot of other people do. I think England's got some frailties in the back line where I think that can catch them out. And I think they're relying on players that I am not sure is as good as they think they are. Hint, Jude Bellingham.
He's injured, isn't he?
He's injured now. Yeah, that's the question to see what ends up happening with him. But I'll be honest, I think it's between Spain and France, but more so Spain. I would listen, Italy and Brazil's rivalry. I'll never root for Brazil to win a World Cup because we do have that rivalry between us. But I do miss seeing the Joga Bonito. I mean, I say it all the time. I think that's what's missing from the current game today. Yeah, I think it's the biggest problem. Everybody appreciates wingers and strikers and these, now they like to call them just number 8s and stuff. The number 10 is what everybody wants to watch. Yeah. And I think the system stuff has phased out the number 10s to where they're not allowed to do their thing. I think it's way too controlled and it's almost like football nowadays is pre-choreographed by the managers. You have to do this, you have to do that. There's no allowing these players to go on and do what they want to do and put emphasis on the game.
Yeah. I would love to meet the committee or the group of people who decided that Joga Bonito was bad for football, so I can slap the shit out of every single one of them. I don't know what in their infinite wisdom would they think, hey, let's stop playing football. It's going to be good for football and just play these big up Uncle Views, these rigid systems that damn near bore you to death. You know, it's like anesthesia football, like what HaHa calls it. You know, I don't think England. England, like Bing said, it mentality issues. I see it. Ego issues. I see it. You know, You're starting for Madrid. You're fully expected to. Yeah, I'm starting for Real Madrid. I have to start for England. But when we look at Spain, when that Spain midfield, when it was, when Busquets, Xavi, and Iniesta, like Fabregas was a baller, but he had no David. But they had David Villa for depth. I mean, there was so much. You know what I mean? So can these young players, these English players who are playing for these big clubs, get their ducks in order? I think he is overrated. I really think he is.
I do
But
too.
He's going, and at Real Madrid, I wouldn't be surprised if Florentino tells Xavi and whoever's coming in, like Vinny, Mbappe, and this guy, they start. Now the other 8 you can pick to go around them, but these guys are box office. Italy can make it. I wouldn't put that past them. I wouldn't put that past them to barely qualify and then steamroll everybody, like do a PSG in the Champions League.
You know what the funny thing is?
Calafiori, man of the tournament.
Yeah, right. hopefully he won't be there. Hopefully he doesn't deserve to be there, if I'm being quite honest with you, but that's just me. The thing is with Italy is, once again, it's two things. One, I think the fact that they appointed Gattuso as the manager is an absolute abomination, if I'm being quite honest with you.
Is it giving you Maradona Argentina vibes? Because Maradona was never, he was really coaching, isn't it? He was just there, like who can we get Messi to listen to?
Yeah, see, the thing is I think Gattuso was given the job for me because everybody loves Gattuso because he's a nutcase, and he always shows like that in Italian we call it the grinta, the passion side of the game, and I think he was given the job for political reasons because they just came under fire. The problem is with Italy is, are you going to pick the right teams, or are you going to continue to allow the politics to get into picking the teams? If we're 100% healthy and we go with the proper formation that fits the players that we have, our midfield should be Barella, Tonali, and Pellegrini. I mean, we're not Spain. We're not France, but it's not like we're that far off with the players that we got. And we still got Locatelli. We still got Fratesi. We still got this young kid, Richie, who I think is a very good player at AC Milan. And we still got Rovella. Like, we have talented players. It's just going to come down to, are you going to pick the right players? If the politics was taken away and we picked the right team, I think Italy could get to a quarterfinal, semifinal, depending on who we get. I think maybe I'm overhyping it, but I think Italy could upset in England. I think Italy could upset.
Yeah. I think the footballing world knows that you do not want to face a Italian team in a knockout, right? They can drag you down in the mud and do that with you. They can, they can beat you in so many different ways. Like historically, we talk about heritage in the champion. There are certain nations that you just don't want to see in a knockout. I mean, England found that out on England soil, in COVID. So it's I'm not ruling them out.
We'll see. Qualifying is one thing, but actually doing it with Italy is a whole nother story. Right. We're just not the guys to do it, and it's a shame. But it's like I said, it's other things that are involved in it. Real quick to segue, I just want to get your thought. I'm still learning this, so I'm not good with the technology part yet. But what did you make of the groupings for the Champions League for this knockout round? We got PSG playing Monaco, we got Juventus playing Galatasaray, we have Real Madrid and Benfica, and we got Atalanta and Borussia Dortmund. That's one side of the bracket. The other side is Karabakh and Newcastle. We have Atletico and Club Brugge. We got Inter and Bodo Glimt, and Bayer Leverkusen and Olympiacos, with all the other draws waiting to happen in the next round. From an Arsenal perspective, I don't think in general we're good enough to win the Champions League. However, to make me more of a believer to see where we could go, I think we have to get on the other side of the bracket where Atletico and Inter are the big teams on that side before this next round of draft comes in. But how confident are you that we can get back to a semifinal if we get on that side of the bracket?
I think we can potentially get to a semifinal, but I think it would end there. Like you said, for time, you don't believe we can win the Champions League because we aren't consistently competing on this front while winning our domestic league. I think if we were winning the Premier League 22-23, win the Premier League, but lost it the next year, then won it back, and you're consistently competing and winning it, and you're paying your taxes in the Champions League, we'd have more of a chance to actually win it. Yeah, I think we're a sure shot. I think whoever comes out of the playoff, we're favorites to get ahead of. The second leg will be at the Emirates through the semis, I think. So whoever we get in the quarters, kill the game in the first leg or don't lose the first leg. I like us at the Emirates. But then you get into the semifinals, you're definitely, unless you get really lucky and reap someone off of the back of an upset, you're going to get one of the big dogs. So that's where it gets a little tricky for me. And depending on where we are in the Premier League title running, is that Premier League already looks like it's wrapped up, or you open the door for Man City to come back again? Like, how much pressure is around these games? Right? Because I do believe if Arsenal get over the line with the EFL Cup, our hands-on favorites to go lift the Premier League title, where we're 7 points clear with 4 or 5 games left. Looks like you can go ahead and wrap that up. I think it will give us a certain level of freedom to play in the Champions League that can probably suit us. But if we are squeaky bum time in both competitions, I can see us letting one of them slip. And right now, if the club has to prioritize, I think the Premier League would be more important to Mikel than the actual Champions League. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough one. But I don't want to see if we see Bayern Munich in the knockouts again, it's going to be a different Bayern Munich. They're going to have Luis Diaz, they're going to have Musiala, who they didn't have last time around when we beat them. So
the way the draw is, we can only get them in the final because they're the complete opposite of us. So
Bayern.
Bayern,
okay.
We can only play in the final because it's grouped to where 2 teams to get picked onto either side of the bracket, and us and Bayern.
Okay, that's right, because we're 1 and 2. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Gotcha. So that's the good thing. However, I do say this: we didn't play a full strength Inter team, and I think Inter in the knockout rounds will be a different team than what it was in the group stages. Especially right now, Inter's starting to get rolling to where Inter may be on the path of getting ready to steamroll the rest of the Serie A and put the league away early. And I think if that's the case, if Inter has the league put away early, that's a scary thing to see potentially in the quarterfinals if we get on that side of the bracket. On the other side, listen, I the way that we're playing, I'm not going to sit here and say that I would be confident of us beating a PSG or a Real Madrid or a Barcelona. The English teams, it all depends. I think if we were to run into City, I think it would be interesting if the league was already won, where it would be if we took on City in the Champions League. I would hate to face City in the Champions League while it's in the midst of still of a title run and we haven't put the league away. Just want least amount of opportunities for the chips to go into the armor, so to speak, as far as the thought of us getting over the hump to finally lift this Premier League trophy. But listen, if we get the other side, I think Inter's the biggest threat, unless we get City. But I'll be honest with you, if City was to get Inter, I wouldn't be too confident of City beating Inter if Inter's at full strength.
I hear what you say there about if Inter put the Scudetto away early. Because last year, if you look, like PSG had put the league away early, and the weekend we were going into the second leg, we're down in the deficit. We go away to Everton, we play everybody. Luis Enrique rested everyone. And the second leg, we huffed and puffed for 20 minutes and had nothing left. So I can fully hear that. Like Barcelona fans realized quickly that Inter can actually play football. That was one of the best matches of the tournament. So You know,
Yeah.
Listen, for our first Champions League, I would love if the football guys lined up all the shit clubs for us to play them all the way through. You know, the small clubs knock out the big ones on their day and shit the bed against Arsenal. I would love it. You know, the FA Cup running, give me Coventry, give me Shelton and all these shit teams till we get to the semis. You know, I won't care. No one cared that United, that Coventry player's toe was offside or United would have been out when they won. You know, so if it happens to fall that way, great. But the Premier League is the thing that we don't need all those breaks. It's literally in our hands, right? We don't need any help from anyone. But in the Champions League, could be very tricky. But yeah, man, I fully expect us to get anything other than the semis, and I will be like, oh,
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if we'll ever win this under him.
You know,
really.
I think if we don't make it to the semis, but we go on to win the Premier League, I think that's your foundation building. Now, I will say, like I said, I think that Arteta should be put on a season by season situation. If he wins two trophies this year, fantastic, but still, it's 2 trophies and now 7 years and $1 billion spent. You still got to go season by season. If you come back, you compete, you walk away with an FA Cup, or even if you do a domestic double, I'd give you another season as long as you've already won the Premier League. But a third season on afterwards, you have to win the league again, or potentially go after the Champions League. To this last point, and then we'll wrap up. Sandro Tonali was linked to Arsenal at the end of the transfer window. I will be honest with you. I would be willing to get rid of a few players if it meant getting Sandro Tonali to Arsenal, in my personal opinion. I think one, Martin Odegaard, for me, should never play for this team again. Maybe I'm harsh. Maybe you disagree. I don't think
he should start for us again. And I think the manager agrees. That's why he took him out the firing line. But yeah, I agree.
I think for the amount of money that we pay him, I think it's like 245 or 250,000 pounds a week for a guy who's making £1 million a month, and is just in the state that he's in. You know, I don't want to hear about the fact, he had an injury or he had a kid and all this other bullshit. Like, that happens to everyday people. You know what I mean? Like, all that curveballs get thrown at you in life every single day. For me, in my personal opinion, I think Jesus, Havertz, and Odegaard should all get moved on at the end of the season, regardless of what the situation is. I would love to see a Declan Rice, a Tonali midfield. I would even be willing to entertain still keeping Zubimendi, but I would move Zubimendi into more of the 8 position and let Rice do what Rice is one of the best in the world at, is being the number 6. For me, not for me, but for you, one, would you like to see, if it was to happen, would you like to see Sandro Tonali come to Arsenal? And if it meant having to shell out players to get rid of to make a Tonali, and even Julian Alvarez, since we're on the topic, who would you, if you would take those 2 guys, who would you let go? And if you would not want either of them, why do you think they wouldn't fit in at Arsenal?
I think we need to upgrade on Odegaard and Mikel Merino. So that's 2 midfield vacancies right there. Because I did say I was going to give Zubimendi one more year, just like last year when Calafiori's first season. I said, let me give him another season and see how he performs. And this season, he has done better than he did last season. But yeah, I think we have enough data on Odegaard. Right? He's been here for 4 years now, and he's had 1 good season and 3 shit ones. You know what I mean? So that's a big enough sample size for me to say, you know, we see other clubs at the very top know when to punt. We seem to we're holding on. So yeah, I think we need to upgrade on them too. Actually, the same way the jury is out on Zubimendi for me. I don't know. Tonali sometimes, I don't know if it's the Eddie Howe system. Sometimes he looks brilliant, but sometimes he looks like he's second best to Bruno G in that midfield. So good player there. I'm not sure that, you know, players come to Arsenal take that next leap and bounds based on, you know, how we play football. But there are so many players I would love to see in our team, but with a different coach. Because Julian Alvarez is a thing. I rate Julian Alvarez. If we can move Jesus on and get him, because Julian Alvarez knows that he is too good to be behind Erling Haaland, but not good enough to play ahead of him. So he bet on himself to go do, the Atletico thing. But Mikel Arteta seems to like a utility player. Like this guy got 30-something GA playing second fiddle to Erling Haaland in that Man City team. He knows how to play football. You know, he can take free kicks. He's tidy on the ball. He's clinical. I think he could really work in our system. I mean, and I don't think we'd have to pay him 240, 280, which is what Kai is on or what, I'm sure Atletico ain't paying him that. And even if they are, market value is market value. If his agent can negotiate, well, you're paying Jesus that, pay me this. But yeah, I think he'll be a big boy addition to our squad. But should we win this Premier League and we make those additions, I think it will send a clear message that Arsenal are really trying to retain this thing, upgrading on Odegaard, upgrading on Mikel Merino, and upgrading on Jesus or Havertz.
Would there be anybody else that you would maybe think about getting rid of out of the team besides them? Or would it just, obviously those three I think are the easiest ones to point out because they've all been super inconsistent and the amount of money they're on is absolutely ridiculous. It's almost like they're robbing the club blind, but Edu is the one who gave him the contract. Would there be anybody else that you would consider letting go? And maybe
I'd move on from Trossard or Martinelli.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't think the club would move on from both of them at the same time. I still don't know what the point was of giving Trossard a bumper deal.
I think what they were trying to do with that was just give him a bump so that when somebody comes and buys him, it's more money off the books. A lot of teams in Italy do that.
Okay.
A lot of teams do that in Italy because of the way how it's structured is if you give them a new contract and it kicks in and you sell them, it ends up going to where you get more money off your book, so it's better for the financial route for that. Me personally, I think I would say it's Martinelli for me over Trossard. Trossard, you know what? I know there's been inconsistent times with him, but this year, I mean, he stepped up. He has scored when we've needed him to in the early stages of the season. So I'd be willing to let Trossard live for one more year at Arsenal. But I'd be honest with you. I don't know if I would want Arteta to be the manager if we got Alvarez and Tonali, only because I don't think one, he would play them properly. I think because I would like to see it change because I think his injuries have hurt him. Honestly, I would like to see, like, if say we didn't win the league, say we did like a cup double, we won the League Cup and we won the FA Cup double, but we gave up the league and we ended up coming second again. I would love, if those two players were available, I would love to see Ancelotti get hired and play his 4-4-2 diamond midfield, but move Saka to the number 10 and have Alvarez and Gyökeres as the two forwards up top being fed by Saka. I think Saka, and it sucks because it's almost now like it was a wasted money for Eze, and Eze's not getting the time he should be getting because I think Eze has deserved to start over Odegaard by a long time now. But I just think that Saka overall, I don't think Saka can play this wing position anymore the way Arteta has him playing. I mean, the game against Chelsea, there were times where you got the ball back, Raya's got the ball at his feet, and it's the two center backs, and then Martinelli and Madueke are on the wings of him. They're the fullbacks, and Hincapié and Timber are further up. I just don't get it anymore with this. I just don't understand it. So I mean, that's it. That's if he was to bottle the league. I think a guy like Ancelotti, maybe adjusting the team like that, I think would be the way to look at it. But beyond that, I would love to see the both of them come. I think Tonali's playing in the wrong position as a number 6. I was talking about this with shout out to the Waffle Don because this came up, and I said Tonali plays very similarly to Pirlo. He starts out as the 6, but moves into an 8 position and likes to get further up the pitch so he can shoot and try to pick passes. And I think if we put Declan Rice as the number 6, because to me, I think Rice is one of the best 6s in the world. I think there's not that many guys that are better than him. getting into a physical challenge, winning an aerial duel, and giving the ball right back to an offensive player. I don't think there's that many guys better than him at it. I think Tonali's ability to be able to create and move the ball forward. I think Zubimendi is showing some uncharacteristic good signs of shooting and being able to play further up the pitch. But I just don't want him in the number 6 because every single time he's back by the center backs, there looks to be like a mistake in him.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I guess the problem I have with Tonali is the same problem I have with Zubimendi sometimes. Like, he reads the game well. Sometimes I see what he's trying to do, but the execution is poor, which I can accept, because if you have all the tech in the world but you can't read the game, then the execution will never be there. But you can work on your execution. So I see Tonali in spaces sometimes, and he's trying to he sees what needs to happen, but the ball just doesn't get there. It's underhit, it's overhit. But I do like what he tries to do, or try to pull off. The thing about, you said there, Alvarez, Tonali under Arteta system, I feel that I share that point. And that's another reason why I'm annoyed at the Ethan thing, because no matter how further he progresses as a player under De Zerbi, he comes back here and he's going to take 3 steps backwards.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I don't think we'll see the best out of any of our creative players until we either change Arteta or Arteta changes his system. Now, maybe he wants to get over this Premier League hump before he completely takes the handbrake off. That's the only plausible explanation I can think of. And I do think if we get over the line, the club goes into how do we retain this Premier League title? I'm not sure they can sit down in good faith in a room with Andrea Berta, who knows football, and say we can defend the Premier League title playing like this. Yeah. So either we'll fundamentally change how we play football, and if you can't do that, Mikhail, just let us know right now and we will move on. You know what I mean? But I think if Ethan comes back and then we go get progressive passers of the ball like Tonali and players who want to attack like Alvarez, we can't take those players and then make them regress. We have to play to their strengths, get the ball forward and go kill off teams, especially when you have 2 of the best center backs right now in their prime. One of the best right backs in the world. Declan is one of the best number 6s in the world. Wins the ball back, pass it forward quickly. You know, one of the chances that we got in the first half yesterday was Eze making a one-time quick pass to Nkapie for a shot. You know, Odegaard is touching that ball 3-4 times there. Yeah. He's going to touch. He's going to turn, and he's going to – where's the camera? How's that angle? You know, I'm going to flick my hair while I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Because he looks good on the ball, and he knows, like – but no, get the ball to the – what the hell was Nkapie even doing up that high? Get it, boom, take a shot. You give him that chance 2 or 3 times, he probably curls one in the top corner. You know, I want to see us making keepers make saves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So but we're not going to see that this year. So I'll say, we got 14 games left. Get ready for 14 of the stinkiest football matches that you'll see. It's not going to get any better because it has him top. And when you're under pressure, you do what works for you. So this is what he's going to do for the next 14 games. Guarantee it. Yeah. Maybe after we got it mathematically wrapped up there, you might see him. Because then he has no reason, right? Surely if we win the league with 3-4 games to go and we're still doing horseshoe, then Berta he made the decision for you. He has shown you that he can't change the system when there's no pressure and you can't play freely.
This will be the last thing and then we'll wrap up. If by some situation happens to where we don't win the league, obviously he has to walk. If you were substituting Berta and you were the sporting director, give me a 5-man short list of who you would interview for the manager job for Arsenal.
Well, I would just hire Carlo and pretend like I'm interviewing the other 4. You know, the Rooney Rule where you got to interview a female or minority. No, fuck all that. We're going to hire Carlo, and then I'm going to, De Zerbi, we're going to interview you on the phone. I'm not even flying you over. It's going to be a Zoom call. Glasner and all these other men. But, hey, come on, Don Carlo. Get this bunch of players over the line because you know how to win, you know.
Yeah, agreed. I think, for me, I think Ancelotti's the best guy to hire for the job because I think collectively as a unit, I think this team is good enough. I think now it's just a mental thing. And there's no better manager to do it from a mental perspective.
And I'm sure the Brazilian Federation isn't paying him 15.6.
Yeah, I don't think
they're paying him handsomely, but they're not paying him that. So
yeah,
we can offer him a pretty good pay package.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would look at Carlo Ancelotti. I would throw his name in there, and I've been saying his name to potentially be looked at for Arsenal because he has won in the past. I wouldn't put it. He'd be a little bit lower down the totem pole, but I would also say Roberto Mancini, just because he's a proven winner. And same thing, he knows what it takes to win. He might cause a chaos in the locker room after 2 years, but if it got us a Premier League trophy, if for some reason we don't win this year, then it's worth it. I would not look at Conte.
Is he in Saudi?
He's mentioned. No, Mancini's in Qatar. He's in Qatar right now. Okay. He went with the team. He went with the team to put a release clause on it to just wait and see. There was some rumors that Napoli was potentially going to talk to him because it looks like Conte is going to be on his way out of the team because he's caused another madness. But,
who knew?
Yeah, typical hot-head Italian. What are you going to do? But I'd say Ancelotti, him. I'll be honest with you. I would even give Tuchel a call.
Yeah, I interview him. Yeah, I'll put him on the list. Like, hey, don't call me. I'm gonna call you.
Yes, absolutely. And on that note, thanks to everybody for joining in. Like and subscribe. Big up to my guy here. Big up to my guy Taryn every single time. Go subscribe and follow Taryn if you haven't. I appreciate everybody coming in here, and we are out.
Grazie.